Okay, quick warning before we start. If you thought Mercedes was done, washed, or stuck playing catch-up in Formula One, you might want to rethink that right now. Because the 2026 Mercedes F1 car isn't just impressive, it's kind of terrifying. Not in a loud, flashy way, but in that quiet, calculated, we've been planning this for years kind of way. And today we're breaking down exactly why this car could flip the year. Grid upside down when the new regulations hit. See? 2026 isn't just another season. It's a full reset. New engines, new aero philosophy, new energy rules, and basically a clean sheet. And historically, whenever F1 hits a reset button, Mercedes becomes a problem for everyone else. We saw it in 2014. We saw flashes of it in 2022 when they took risks others wouldn't. And now, the signs are all there that Mercedes has been cooking something serious behind the scenes. Let's start with the big one, the power unit, because this is where Mercedes made their dynasty in the first place. The 2026 regulations massively increase the electrical side of the engine, cutting back on fuel flow and basically forcing teams to rethink how power is deployed. A lot of teams are scrambling to adjust. Mercedes, they've been preparing for this exact direction for over a decade. Their hybrid knowledge is insane, and the way they manage energy recovery, deployment, and efficiency has always been elite. What makes the 2026 Mercedes engine impressive isn't raw horsepower and its control. The way they're expected to blend electric power with combustion is smoother, smarter, and more consistent than most rivals. That means better acceleration out of slow corners, more predictable power delivery, and less stress on components. In modern F1, that kind of drivability is worth lap time everywhere, especially over a race distance. Now layer that engine philosophy into the chassis, because this is where Mercedes really started thinking differently after getting burned by bouncing and aero sensitivity in the early ground effect era. Mercedes went back to fundamentals. The 2026 car is reportedly built around a wider operating window, meaning it's fast across more ride heights, more track conditions, and more setups. That's huge. That's the difference between a car that's quick sometimes and a car that's quick everywhere aerodynamically. Mercedes isn't chasing extreme concepts anymore. Instead of ultra-tight packaging that looks cool in renders but kills consistency, the 2026 car focuses on airflow stability. The front wing, floor, and diffuser work together as a system rather than isolated performance parts. This reduces snap oversteer, improves tire management, and gives drivers confidence to push something Mercedes drivers have clearly been missing in recent years. And speaking of drivers, this car feels designed for attack mode. Whether it's George Russell or whoever else is behind the wheel in 2026, the Mercedes looks like a car that invites aggression instead of punishing it. Faster direction changes, better front-end bite without instability, and rear traction that doesn't randomly disappear mid-corner. That's the kind of car drivers dream of. One underrated reason the 2026 Mercedes is so impressive is how calm it looks on track. Even in early testing footage and simulations, the car just flows. No twitching, no violent corrections, no desperate steering inputs. That tells you the platform is solid. In modern F1, smoothness equals speed. If the car looks easy to drive, it usually is, and easy-to-drive cars win championships. Another thing Mercedes absolutely nailed is cooling. The new power units generate heat differently, and poor cooling ruins performance fast. Mercedes went for smart airflow management instead of massive bodywork openings. That keeps drag low while protecting reliability. And if there's one team that understands how races are won over a season, it's Mercedes. You don't win championships by being fast for 5 races. You win them by finishing every race strong. Now let's talk about weight, distribution, and balance, because this is where engineering gets spicy. The 2026 regulations tighten constraints, but Mercedes found clever ways to optimize mass placement. The result is a car that rotates naturally without chewing through tires. Tire degradation has been a hidden weapon for Mercedes in the past, and it looks like that's back on the menu. What's wild is how adaptable this car appears to be. Street circuits, high-speed tracks, technical layouts. The Mercedes seems built to handle all of it. That adaptability means fewer weekends spent figuring things out and more weekends fighting at the front. In a tight field, that consistency is lethal. There's also the human factor. Mercedes didn't panic during their down years. They didn't blow up their structure. They didn't start pointing fingers. They refined processes, doubled down on simulation accuracy, and invested heavily in correlation between the wind tunnel, CFD, and real-world performance. That's why this car feels so cohesive. It's the product of lessons learned the hard way. Now, compare that to teams that nailed the current rules but might struggle to adapt. That's where Mercedes gains ground. They've already lived through failure under ground effect regs. They already paid that price. Everyone else might be about to. Another reason the 2026 Mercedes F1 car is impressive is how it manages drag versus downforce. The car doesn't rely on brute force wing angles to generate grip. Instead, it creates efficiency through clean airflow and floor performance. That means better straight line speed without sacrificing cornering. It's the holy grail of F1 design. Let's not ignore reliability, because hype means nothing if the car doesn't finish races. Mercedes engines have always been tanks. And while the new rules add complexity, Mercedes thrives in complexity. They test obsessively, simulate everything, and over-engineer weak points before they ever show up on track. That mindset wins championships. There's also something psychological going on here. Other teams expect Mercedes to bounce back. That alone changes how rivals approach development. When Mercedes looks strong, pressure shifts, mistakes happen, risk increases. And Mercedes has historically thrived in those moments. What really separates the 2026 Mercedes, though, is that it doesn't look like a gamble. It looks like a calculated strike. No radical gimmicks, no hope this works philosophy. Just a brutally efficient race car designed to score points everywhere, every weekend. And yeah, it might not dominate immediately, but dominance doesn't always show up as pole positions. Sometimes it shows up as podiums when others struggle. Sometimes it shows up as second places that turn into wins when reliability bites rivals. That's how Mercedes builds momentum, quietly, relentlessly. If you're a fan of engineering excellence, this car is fascinating. If you're a rival team, it's concerning. And if you're a fan who thought Mercedes was done, this is your wake-up call. Because the truth is, the 2026 Mercedes F1 car isn't impressive because it's flashy. It's impressive because it's smart, because it's balanced, because it's built by a team that knows exactly how championships are won in Formula One. So the real question isn't whether Mercedes is back. The question is whether anyone else is ready for what happens when they are. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more deep dive F1 content that actually explains what's going on under the skin, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Mercedes takes the crown again in 2026? Or does someone stop them this time?